Welcome back to the cryptowrld channel, everyone. My name is Josh, and right now, Bitcoin is still in its recovery towards all-time highs, especially now that we've officially confirmed to break out above these very important Fibonacci levels of resistance. So in just a moment, I'll be talking about my exact Bitcoin trading strategy, which has actually changed over the last one day. So I'll be talking about that in just a moment, alongside the price of Ethereum, which is now running into key resistance, alongside the price of XRP, also running into very important resistance, while the price of Sui is potentially flashing a warning signal right now. So I'll be talking about all of that and more later in the video, so definitely watch to the end. First of all, starting off on the 4-day Bitcoin price chart, because over the last one day, we've now officially seen the super trend indicator flip back into the green for the first time in months, because obviously this has been in the red over the last couple of months, give or take, but usually when the super trend indicator is in the green, that indicates a larger bullish trend most of the time. And so that is the current situation here on the 4-day Bitcoin price chart. And technically speaking, here on the weekly time frame, we still have this bearish divergence, but if we simply see a confirmed breakout with a weekly candle close confirming above around approximately 105,000, in that situation, that would at least temporarily invalidate this bearish divergence if we have a new higher high in the price, because in that situation, would have to reconfirm a new bearish divergence if the RSI is still sitting in lower highs. But of course, if we see a breakout in the RSI above ideally at least this line of resistance, but also a breakout ideally above this previous high in the RSI, forming higher highs in the RSI alongside higher highs in the price, in that situation, of course, there'll be no divergence at all. And so a potential breakout in the weekly Bitcoin RSI is what I'll be watching out for here in order to fully invalidate this bearish divergence. But for now, technically, it's still something just to watch out for. But if we're taking a look at this weekly Bitcoin chart, of course, as I've been saying pretty much every day for the last 1 month now, of course, we are seeing declining bearish momentum moving closer towards a bullish crossover. And at the current rate, potentially in a matter of days from now, we may end up seeing a new bullish crossover in the weekly Bitcoin MACD. And obviously, we're already in the recovery stage. We're already seeing bullish price action in the price of Bitcoin here out of this previous correction. And of course, that's exactly what I've been saying pretty much every day for the last 1 month, give or take, based on these previous signals showing very similar price action. But what we saw these last couple of times, once we actually confirmed the bullish crossover in this indicator on this time frame, which we're just about to do, if we're looking at the last couple of times this has happened, we actually saw a lot more bullish price action following the bullish crossover. So that was not like a top signal or anything like that. We saw much more bullish price action to come. And so based on this chart right here, this is really telling us that the bullish momentum is growing, and we're clearly already in the recovery and potentially about to break out into new all-time highs with a lot more bullish price action. So keep that in mind. And if we're taking a look at this 3-day Bitcoin price chart, obviously over the last 1 to 2 days here, we've seen a major breakout above this very important area of resistance, which was sitting in between around 96,000 to 98,000. And now, technically speaking, we still need to actually confirm the breakout on the 3-day time frame, but obviously it's extremely likely we will confirm this breakout on this time frame, because in case you're wondering, the next 3-day candle closes in just a couple of hours from now. And so basically, if the price is still above around 98,000 within just a few hours from now, then we'll officially confirm the breakout on the 3-day time frame, which means this previous resistance at around 96 to 98,000 will likely become new support if we were to see a pullback. I'm not saying we will see a pullback, but if that happens, expect support around there. And if we're taking a look at the daily Bitcoin price chart, not only have we broken out above this important resistance, the golden pocket sitting in between around 96,000 to 98,000 once again, also based on this resistance right here, not only have we seen that breakout above 98,000, we've also now officially confirmed a daily candle close above the 78.6% Fibonacci level of resistance, which based on this chart right here, on these Fibonacci settings, that's sitting at around 102,000. And so basically, we don't really have a lot of resistance between now and all-time highs, simply based on previous price structure. Looking at the candle closes, for example, right here, we may find a decent amount of resistance at roughly 104K to 106K, just simply based on these previous highs right here. But of course, once we start to get towards around 106, 107K, we're basically looking at the all-time high. That's pretty much right around the all-time high. The full all-time high, the actual all-time high, is at around 109 to 110,000. And so just be prepared that it is quite likely we'll see new all-time highs very soon. But of course, it is possible we could find a bit of short-term resistance around these highs before we actually see new all-time highs. And so in just a moment, I'll be talking about exactly what that means for my Bitcoin trading strategy. But first, taking a quick look at this daily Bitcoin chart. And technically speaking, this bullish divergence is still currently active because we've not yet confirmed any invalidation signals to invalidate this bullish divergence. And so like I've been saying since the price was at around 81 to 82,000 all the way back down here, I've been saying expect a bullish relief as one of the most common outcomes from a bullish divergence. And obviously over the last couple of weeks that has been playing out perfectly. And then of course right around here near the end of April, I said expect a short-term slowdown from all of the bullish price action just in order to basically see a slight little reset in the RSI, which can ultimately give us more room towards the upside with another pump coming soon. And of course that's also played out perfectly as expected. But right now, if we're looking at the daily Bitcoin RSI, it is indeed in overbought territories again, telling us that at least in the immediate short term, we're starting to run out of room towards the upside just in the short term. And so once again, I want to make this clear. This is not me telling you that we're topping out and we're going to see a massive crash. It does not mean that at all. It just means that maybe soon in the next few days or so, it is quite likely we'll see potentially another little slowdown, whether it's right here or maybe after another slight little bullish move. Either way, it's very likely that very soon in the next few days, expect just another little slowdown here, either some choppy sideways price action or maybe a very slight pullback just in order to cool off and reset the RSI, which once again can give us more room towards the upside later on. And so with that being said, what is my Bitcoin trading strategy? What am I actually doing right now with my own money? And personally, I'm still in that Bitcoin long position that I entered at close to 88,000, which I've been sharing very transparently here on the channel pretty much every day since when I entered that trade all the way back down there. But if you've been watching my recent videos here on the channel, you might have noticed some actual changes that I've made to this trade just over the last one day. And basically what I did was move my stop loss slightly further into profits here, just underneath these previous lows, so that in the worst case scenario, if the price just crashes for whatever reason, that will hit the stop loss and close the trade automatically in profits at that level. And so essentially with these swing trades, these long positions here, I slowly move my stop loss further and further into profits as the trade moves further into profits. That is basically my trading strategy regarding the stop loss. And then when it comes to taking profits out of this long position, personally, I look to just reduce the size of the trade, take a small amount of profits out of this long position around potentially some key points of resistance, like for example, these highs right here, as we're now approaching pretty much the all-time highs. Of course, once again, we could potentially find some short-term resistance around there. And also with the overbought signal on the daily time frame telling us we might see a little cool off. Basically, I've just slightly reduced the size of the trade over the last one day. And so obviously I'm still long on the price of Bitcoin. So if Bitcoin keeps pumping, I continue to benefit from that bullish price action. But basically I've just slightly reduced the trade, once again, taking the small amount of profits off the table. And if we're actually looking at the current unrealized versus realized profits for this trade right here, showing very transparently my current realized profit is close to 2,800 USDT and unrealized profit just over 9,000 USDT. So altogether, well over 10,000 US dollars from this one trade here. And then based on where it's sitting at right now, basically I'll just look to keep this trade open how it is right now. And as the trade moves further into profits, once again, I'll slowly move my stop loss further into profits, and then potentially at some key price targets along the way up, I'll take a little bit of more profits off the table around some of those higher prices. And so that is my exact Bitcoin trading strategy. Once again, sharing very transparently here on the channel how we can make a lot of easy profits in the crypto market. And I'm sharing this completely for free. A lot of people charge for this kind of information, but I'm sharing it completely for free here on YouTube. And if you want to actually take these trades for yourself to profit a lot in the crypto market, like what I'm doing right now, personally, I'm taking this trade right here over on 2bit. So I'll make sure to leave a link to 2bit below this video in the description and in the pinned comment. And if you use that link, it'll take you to this page right here where you can claim some massive trading bonuses, like for example, up to $50,000 in trading rewards. But if you're not one of these larger traders here, you can also claim a $30 sign up bonus and a 20% deposit rebate up to a max of 200 USDT. So for example, if you deposit $1,000, you get a $200 bonus, but only if you use that link to 2bit. And in case you're wondering, 2bit is a no KYC exchange, which means you can access it from basically any country in the world without needing any KYC. But as always, check your local regulations when it comes to trading crypto. And for whatever reason, if you don't want 2bit as an exchange, there's also BTNX as another exchange out there that I also trade on. So I'll also make sure to leave a link to BTNX below this video. And if you use that link, it'll take you to this page right here where you can also claim some massive trading rewards. And once again, if you're not one of these larger traders here, you can also claim some decent deposit bonuses, like for example, $200 just by depositing $1,000 using the link below this video to BTNX. So if you're going to be trading crypto anyway, you might as well check this out. Once again, the first and second link below this video. And in case you're wondering, BTNX is also a no KYC exchange. But with that being said, if we're taking a quick look at the Bitcoin and crypto funding rates, right now, pretty much all of these funding rates are very, very neutral, despite the pump in the price of Bitcoin and really a lot of the crypto market, which is actually quite surprising, to be honest, because usually when we see a major bullish move like this across the crypto market, oftentimes this leads to very high funding rates, well above the neutral rate. And that's simply caused by a lot of traders piling into long positions, high leverage long positions, in order to basically FOMO into the pump. But that is not what is happening right now. A lot of this bullish move is driven by the spot market because the funding rates are neutral, which is telling us the market is balanced between the spot market and the derivatives or futures market. And so in plain English, that means that this move right here is healthy and sustainable. It's not driven by leverage, it's driven by the spot market, which means we might not necessarily see a massive crash to the downside. So if you're expecting a quick crash to these lower prices to scoop up some cheap crypto, just know that that is actually unlikely just based on the current situation. Basically, once again, the market is balanced, telling us that this is healthy and sustainable. But if we're taking a look at Ethereum on the weekly time frame, of course, right now Ethereum is experiencing a major bounce from this significant area of support, still sitting in between 1.4K to 1550. So like I said, since much higher prices, expect massive support at roughly 1,500. But right now we're potentially running into some major resistance based on previous significant support right here, flipping into new resistance, and that's sitting at roughly 2.3K to 2.4K. And so ideally, if we can break out above 2.4K, and even better, if we form some sort of higher low on the price chart, whether it's basically right here or maybe right here, either way, if we form some sort of higher low on the price chart, that would be the first significant change in price structure that we've seen in months for Ethereum on the weekly time frame, because technically the larger price structure, at least for now, is still forming lower highs and lower lows, which is essentially a bearish trend until confirmed otherwise. But of course, in the shorter term, during this larger bearish price structure, in the shorter term, we're clearly very much bullish. Of course, as I always say, if Bitcoin's pumping, expect a pump for a lot of the crypto market, including Ethereum. But right now, the price of ETH has just officially confirmed a breakout with a daily candle close above this 38.2% Fibonacci level of resistance, which was sitting at around 2.1K. And so obviously this is a major bullish signal to watch out for. Anytime we break out above important resistance, that is of course bullish for the price. And so at least on the daily time frame, the price structure is now simply bullish. Of course, we are forming higher lows and higher highs here, and of course breaking out above key resistance. That is all bullish price structure on the daily time frame. And right now we're running into this 50% retracement level, acting as resistance at just under 2.4K. And of course, we have the golden pocket area of resistance to watch out for as well at around 2.7K to 2.8K. And overall, expect similar price action for Ethereum as to what Bitcoin is doing. So for example, if Bitcoin, let's just say, sees a slight little cool off and then ultimately another bullish move, expect something similar for Ethereum moving forward as well. And so those are my expectations moving forward, but really there's not much else to add here for Ethereum. So getting straight into the price of Solana on the 3-day time frame, and right now Solana is still playing out this bullish divergence on the 3-day chart, as I've been saying since pretty much all the way back down here. And of course, once again, a bullish divergence most commonly plays out in the form of a bullish relief, and that's exactly what we're seeing right now. Continue to expect this moving forward. And if we're taking a look at the daily Solana price chart, obviously we're continuing the bounce from this previous Fibonacci level, sitting at approximately 146 to 147, and we're potentially now breaking out above this 50% retracement level, which is sitting at around 167 to 168. And if we confirm the daily candle close above that level, in that situation, the next resistance is sitting at around 179. And above that, we have critical resistance in between 191 to 200, which is the golden pocket. But clearly, the shorter term trend is already bullish. As I've been saying once again on the daily time frame, we clearly have bullish price structure breaking out above resistance, forming higher highs and now higher lows, which is all bullish price structure. In other words, a bullish trend, at least on the daily time frame. And so obviously from time to time, we can see slight little cool-offs and rejections from resistance and things like that. But overall, the trend is simply bullish right now on the daily time frame for the price of Solana. And once again, expect just similar price action for Solana as what Bitcoin and Ethereum and a lot of the crypto market is doing, because really most cryptos are highly correlated to each other. And with that being said, taking a look at XRP on the 3-day time frame, and right now we're potentially starting to invalidate this previous bearish divergence on the 3-day time frame. Obviously, this has been playing out for most of this year. Since January this year, this has been playing out, and obviously it's been playing out perfectly over the last few months, exactly as I've been warning here on the channel since much higher prices. But we're now starting to potentially develop a small little relief or potential bullish reversal, and not only in the price but also potentially here in the RSI. As we can see, we're starting to slowly trend towards the upside in the 3-day XRP RSI, and of course we've already broken out above this descending line of resistance here. But ideally, if we now actually confirm some sort of higher high in the 3-day XRP RSI above this previous high, that would also be an invalidation signal to invalidate this bearish divergence, telling us that it's no longer playing out. And so that is the situation on this 3-day time frame. And if we're taking a look at the daily XRP chart, right now the price is starting to run into a very important resistance, which is of course this descending line of resistance for the descending parallel channel. And currently this is sitting at approximately $2.44 to $2.45. So ideally we need to confirm a daily candle close above $2.45, and even better, if we flip that into new support, that would be extra confirmation to confirm a bullish breakout and potential bullish reversal. Because clearly, while the price of XRP has been within this descending parallel channel, clearly this is a bearish trend forming lower highs and lower lows. But of course, during the bearish trend, we can see short-term bullish release from time to time. But if we simply break out above this line of resistance, once again, that will be a signal pointing towards not just a little short-term bullish relief, but an actual bullish reversal, a new bullish trend starting to form, and the end of this previous bearish trend. And so right now we're sitting right on the edge of potentially that happening. We're sitting very close to that happening. And as for support to watch out for, I would now expect a small amount of support based on this previous high flipping into new support at roughly $2.30, and also significant support at around $2.10 and also $2.05. And with that being said, if we're taking a look at the price of Sui on the weekly time frame, because Sui has actually been one of the top suggested altcoins in the comment section below these videos. I've been getting a lot of comments for Sui, so of course I read the comments, and if a lot of people are asking for the same altcoin, I will make sure to get it in these videos. And so right now on the weekly Sui chart, of course, we're clearly within a multi-year bull market forming higher lows and higher highs. The larger price structure on the weekly time frame is simply bullish. And then of course, during this multi-year bull market, we can see significant drawdowns along the way up. But right now we're potentially in the recovery stage, getting ready for the next leg towards the upside in this larger bullish trend, simply based on these price oscillators here starting to regain strength. So if we're looking at these previous examples right here of bullish and bearish momentum, these fluctuations in the price, of course, we hit overbought on the weekly RSI here, and then we start to head down. Of course, as we can see both of these times right here, we also gather bearish momentum in the weekly Sui MACD. And then based on the last time we actually saw the end of that correction and the new recovery, the next leg towards the upside, around that time, what we start to see is, of course, a recovery in the RSI, strength regaining in the RSI, alongside potentially a new bullish crossover in the weekly MACD. And right now, we're just starting to see that signal flash. And of course, Sui, along with most of the crypto market, is highly correlated to what Bitcoin is doing. So obviously, if Bitcoin continues this bullish move into new all-time highs, that will significantly increase the probability of Sui also continuing the bullish move into new all-time highs above this high right here, which is sitting at roughly around $5.30. But of course, the potential opportunity on that movement is clearly larger than the opportunity on the Bitcoin move. Of course, Bitcoin is lower risk than some of these altcoins here, but just for example, from the current Bitcoin price to all-time highs, that's only around a 6 to 7% move towards the upside, whereas this move in Sui from the current price to all-time highs, that's potentially another 38, almost 40% pump towards the upside. But as always, when it comes to buying or selling altcoins, always do your own research. Of course, altcoins have different fundamentals to what Bitcoin is, and obviously altcoins do come with more risk compared to Bitcoin. But with that being said, taking a look at the daily Sui chart, right now we do potentially have a shorter term warning signal that is flashing, which is a bearish divergence. We have higher highs in the price, which have confirmed in the price, but lower highs potentially forming right now in the daily RSI. And so at the time of recording this video, this is not yet fully confirmed, but it is looking quite likely that it will confirm, especially if we confirm this daily candle close in the red, and especially another candle close in the red that will actually confirm this bearish divergence, telling us that at least over the next few days, maybe over the next couple of weeks, that sort of time frame, expect a bit of a cool off as a very likely scenario. So either some choppy sideways price action, or maybe a slight little pullback just in the coming days or the coming week potentially as a likely scenario based on this bearish divergence. But remember, consider the difference between the different time frames. That's just a shorter term movement that is potentially within a larger recovery on the larger time frames. And as for support and resistance to watch out for, I would expect a lot of support based on this previous golden pocket area of resistance, which acted as significant resistance in the past. I would now expect a lot of support in between around $3.45 to $3.60, which is this golden pocket right here, now acting as support. And as for resistance to watch out for, we do have a decent amount of resistance at around $4.10 to $4.20 based on this previous high and also this Fibonacci level. But once we see a breakout above 420, it's extremely likely we'll just continue on towards the all-time high at roughly 530. But remember, before we potentially see that at some point later on, in the meantime, we may end up seeing a bit of a cool off thanks to this bearish divergence on the daily time frame, especially if it confirms over the next 1 or 2 days here. But either way, if you want to trade any of these moves in the price of any crypto, once again, check out those links below this video to those exchanges if you want to claim those massive bonuses that are only available using those links. And if you want to actually know how you can trade crypto no matter what the price is doing, like what I'm doing right now, to make a lot of easy profits in the crypto market, then make sure to watch these videos popping up right here on your screen. The video in the top left shows you how you can profit from bullish or bearish price action using long positions or short positions, and the video in the bottom left shows you how you can easily profit from choppy sideways price action. But anyway, that is everything that I have to say for today. I really hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you all in the next video.